This is our live office hour session looking at program 3. In this one, I'm going to go and look at the spec first. So a few things that you're going to want to look at. Remember, your project is your last name and then P3. So that needs to be the exact project name. Notice here I have Nuanis P3. Okay. Here, this piece, you're not going to print anything, so you don't worry about that, but you do name your source file driver.cpp. So here I have driver.cpp. When I put my comment at the top, the file is driver.cpp. So you're going to have your name, like that. All right. Remember to remove the SDF, or this should say database, the database and debug files, and upload your zip project through Blackboard. So your name, email address, file name, and the source code and a comment. That's what I just did. Use cout statements to write your name, program title, and program objective of the screen. That's your header, and add comments as appropriate. So there's easy points for you. Every program. So this one's going to basically be a let's make a deal, which is an old game show. Okay, so Marilyn Vos Savant described the following problem based on the Monty Hall game show. Let's make a deal. Suppose you're on a game show and there are 3 doors. Behind one door is a car, and there are goats behind the other 2. After you pick a door that's before it is open, the host opens one of the other doors, one which has goats. He asks if you want to change your guess. So the question, the thing we're figuring out in this program is it to your advantage to change your guess? So that basically is the question this program will answer. We'll model 1,000 games to see which strategy has a better chance of picking the door with the car. So what basically happens is you're going to use the random number generator, which that SuncatByte's being uploaded, to generate some random numbers and basically come up with this program and tell you whether or not, after you know that there's a goat behind one of the doors, that means that there's 2 other doors left, one has a goat, one doesn't, is it to your advantage to switch at that point? So write a program to simulate the show. Begin with displaying your class header and also a brief explanation of the problem you're modeling. Declare variables in seed rand at the beginning of main, not in a loop. To seed rand, you're going to actually use srand. Open a loop to play 1,000 games. So your loop's going to loop 1,000 times. You know it's going to loop 1,000 times, so you'll be using a for loop. In each of the 1,000 iterations, randomly pick a number between 1 and 3 for placing the car. Then pick the player's door randomly. Have the game show host pick one of the 2 doors not chosen by the player and not the one containing the car. It will have a goat. This choice should be performed randomly too, of course. You'll need a loop for this part. Figure out whether the player wins by winning or by switching. Increment the counter for strategy switch if the player wins by switching to the 3rd door, and increment a counter for strategy stick if the player wins by sticking with his initial choice. So these are going to actually be variables that you're going to use: strategy stick, strategy switch. Use those exact names. Finally, display the results of the 1,000 iterations and say goodbye. So you need to have a goodbye message and then output showing basically these results: your strategy stick and strategy switch, strategy stick results. So what you need to do is basically step through the program, and this spec really gives you instructions on what you need to do. So if I start kind of doing what we did previously, and look at this, I have my header there. The only 2 libraries that I'm going to use are going to be IOStream and CTime. Then I'm going to have my typical standard namespace. I'm going to have main. Okay. Here, I'm going to give you guys a hint right away. I'm going to use srand to seed the time, and I can just do it this way. So you can seed srand there. Okay, then I'm going to declare and initialize my count variables. In the spec, told you what those variables should be, and you should initialize them to 0. I'm not going to actually give you that code though. Then we're going to write the header here. Okay, then we're going to begin our loop. Oops. Okay, that loop's going to loop 1,000 times. So I told you to use a for loop. I'll let you figure out the syntax for a for loop, but you're going to have a for loop here. All right. So it's going to be for, and then it's going to have something in it like that. I'm not going to actually put the code. All right. So after we've done that, we're going to generate a random spot for the car. And a hint for you will be use rand to generate a random number. Okay, srand up here was to seed it, rand is to generate it. Take a look at the SuncatByte on generating random numbers. So then here we're going to use variables to hold the 3 doors. They're basically just going to be declared there. And then here, we're going to have some logic that fills the doors with a car. Fill the doors with the car. And the goats. So what basically is going to happen is some of your door variables, and I'll even give you another hint. 0 means goat, 1 means car. And inside of this, you're going to basically have some if-else ifs. So you're going to have an if here. With some logic, then an else if with some logic, and then an else with some logic. All right. Remember, all these places where there's stuff below, there's code that's missing there, right? All right. So that's going to fill the doors with the car. So basically, 2 of the doors are going to get a 0. The other one's going to get a 1 for a car. This is all just the setup, right? This is the random piece of it. Now you're going to have the contestants. Contestants. Pick a door. And you have some more code where you have the host pick a door. That door is not a car and not the same as the contestant picked. Okay, another hint, and this is from the spec. Need a loop here. Okay, and then check to see if the contestant wins without switching. And if they do, then you should increment the correct counter here. Okay, here we're going to need to declare a variable to represent our remaining door. and then figure out which door is still remaining. Figure out, you're probably going to need some if statements, if else ifs there. And then now find out if the contestant wins by switching. And if they do, increment the counter, the correct counter. All right, so that's that. And then this will be the end of that for loop that we started all the way up here. And then here we'll have output results. And like always, there should be, yep. Return 0. All right. Oh, maybe not. That's the wrong one. Have an extra semicolon there. I mean extra curly brace. Yeah. Okay. So that's going to be a general outline. Trying to get it. My trackpad's a little touchy. Okay, there we go. So here you go. Starting at the top, scrolling down, general outline, general format for you. There's a lot of code in there that's missing, but this should help get you on your way. Questions? All right. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording then, and you guys can feel free to look at the recording. Questions? Shoot me an email, discussion board, or Thursday hours at this point.